This module is all about the cells that make up a solar module. When you hear the term solar module, it's talking about solar panels. And inside solar panels are solar cells. There are two main different types. They perform the same basic function, which is to grab the photons from the sun to produce the power. The two types are monocrystalline and polycrystalline. On monocrystalline solar panels, each solar PV cell is made up of a single silicon crystal. These are sometimes referred to as monosolar panels. Polycrystalline solar panels. Each PV cell is made up of multiple silicon crystal fragments that are melded together during the manufacturing process. You may sometimes see these referred to as multicrystalline panels or poly panels. The one I want to dive into first is monocrystalline. Monocrystalline solar panels are characterized by their black PV cells with rounded edges. Those are those black panels you see on the roof more often nowadays. They have a higher conversion efficiency than polycrystalline panels, which means they produce more kilowatt hours of electricity. If a homeowner wants to install a solar panel system that has limited space, monocrystalline panels will be more productive per square foot. While they're the most efficient solar panels, they are also the most expensive solar panels, since the manufacturing process of single crystal silicon cells are more complex. Now let's look at the polycrystalline panels. These have a blue-hued PV cell and they have straight edges. So from the ground, you can tell that these are poly panels because they're blue, they're not black. They have lower efficiencies compared to the monocrystalline cells, which means that you need more panels to reach the same power output. However, polycrystalline panels also have a lower price point since the manufacturing process is much simpler. So polycrystalline panels, they are very durable, but they tend to last slightly less compared to monocrystalline panels. They are also affected more by higher temperatures, which reduces their productivity on the hottest days. Now, this is referred to as the heat coefficient, and we're going to go more into that here later in this module. Now, let's talk about the key differences between the two. Monocrystalline solar panels have higher costs when comparing to other panels. The cost of inverters, wiring, electrical protections, the racking, the labor, all that's the same when you're comparing the panels. So the only thing that changes is the actual price of the panel, not the labor or any of the other components when it comes to installing the solar system. Because monocrystalline panels are more efficient, you'll get a better return on your investment. Now, homeowners will be eligible for the federal tax credits whether they choose mono or poly panels. It doesn't matter which type of panels they have. It's based off of solar, not the type of solar panels they get. That's important because we do hear some companies nowadays have said that they have to have a specific type of panel. That's not true. They're just trying to make sure that they can get the business. Now, here's a side-by-side. You guys can screenshot this or jot these down. I'm going to keep it up for a few seconds. The two major differences between each one. So, monocrystalline solar panels, one pure silicon cell. With polycrystalline, it's many silicon fragments melded together. When it comes to cost, monocrystalline are more expensive. Polycrystalline are less expensive. On the appearance, the panels have a black hue for monocrystalline. Polycrystalline are blue. Now the efficiency. Monocrystalline are more efficient. Polycrystalline are less efficient. The lifespan of the monocrystalline panels are between 25 to 40 years. Polycrystalline panels have a 20 to 35 year lifespan. Now, like I mentioned earlier, heat coefficients, which again, we will go into more detail here in a little bit, but the temperature coefficient is important. Monocrystalline solar panels have a lower temperature coefficient, making them more efficient in the heat, while polycrystalline panels, they have a higher temperature coefficient, making them less efficient in the heat. So, heat coefficient is something that's very important. When it comes to overall efficiency, monocrystalline panels have a higher efficiency. However, it doesn't mean that polycrystalline panels are inferior products. You can find high-quality solar panels of both types. So here's a few facts about the efficiency overall. When solar panels have a higher efficiency, it's converting a larger percentage of the sunlight into electricity. So polycrystalline panels typically have below 20%, while monocrystalline are approaching up to 23%. This is where the biggest confusion comes in when it comes to efficiency ratings when you see a 19, 20, 21%. Folks think that that's what the panel is actually able to function at instead of at 100% capacity. No, it means that 100%, they're converting 20% of the sunlight or 23% or 19%. Now, because of the efficiency is lower on the polycrystalline panels, you'll need more polycrystalline panels to reach a certain kilowatt hour output per month. All solar panels will suffer temporary efficiency drop when the temperature increases. But monocrystalline solar cells are less affected by the heat, and that's the heat coefficient. So the temperature coefficient indicates how much solar panels are affected by the temperature. All solar panels are tested under the same standard test conditions. It's called the STC. This is to ensure a fair comparison. So consumers don't have to take a manufacturer's word for it. They are tested under the same factory conditions, the same STCs, standard test conditions. In general, polycrystalline solar panels tend to have a higher heat coefficient, which means that they'll lose more productivity when they heat up. However, as technology improves, there are now some solar panels of both types with similar low heat coefficients or temperature coefficients. Solar panel efficiency is not a critical factor when there's plenty of roof space available. So since polycrystalline panels have a lower price point, installing more to compensate for lower efficiency may not be a problem. However, if there's limited space, installing more panels is not going to be an option, which means that monocrystalline panels will maximize the electricity production in the available area. So let's talk about that lifespan and appearance. So the appearance of the solar cells is a result of the silicon structure, since it determines how they interact with sunlight and how they're perceived by the human eye. The single crystal structure of the monocrystalline cells give it a black color, while the polycrystalline cells are blue. Both solar panel types have long lifespans, and their payback is typically less than 5 years. Solar manufacturers normally offer a 25-year power production warranty, and some brands come up to 30 years nowadays, though it's rare. So the question to the customer, do you want a panel specific in a color? They can do that. If they want a specific color and they want blue, they can have blue. But if they want black, they can have black. Just know if they're going with the black panels, they're getting better efficiencies. So you might find that polycrystalline panels produce around 300 watts. Let's just say, for argument's sake, there are some that produce more than that and some that produce less. So let's just do 300 watts. And equally sized monocrystalline panels will produce about 350 watts, so more production per square foot, right? If you have 20 of them, you're going to reach a 7 kilowatt system with the monocrystalline panels. But you're only going to get a 6 kilowatt system with the polycrystalline panels. That's how it boils out at the end of the actual sizing of the systems when it comes to efficiencies. So as a result, mono panels are slightly more efficient than poly panels. They also perform better in high heat and in low light environments, which means that you'll produce closer to the rated output in less than ideal conditions. A couple things to note. You will see some solar panels where they have the black back sheet, not the back of the panels black, but that's still going to be white, but in between the cells is black. Some of them are going to be white. Black attracts more heat. Now, it's going to drop the efficiency a little bit, okay? So you might have a triple black panel that has a black backsheet, black frame, black cells. Might be about a 400 watt panel. If you throw a white backsheet where it has the white in between the spaces of the cells, that might be a 405 watt panel. Nothing changed except that black sheet because it's going to have less heat. So don't try to use the white lines in between as a comparison on which one's going to be better. That's just aesthetics. It will drop efficiency a little bit to have better aesthetics with the black on black on black.